Hi, Mr. J. Did you see the topic? This was a little bit unannounced. I tried to announce it, but I'm still getting the live settings right. Yeah. So this is going to be real information. I'm going to do a screen share. We're going to go to some government sites. I'm not going to get super deep into it. So I'm going to wait for a few people. Hi, you guys. Don't mind me if I don't look at the chat really quick. I want to talk to you guys about what is and is not going to happen today. I am absolutely about to show you that it's perfectly legal to not have a birth certificate in our country, to not have a social security card in our country, and that you are able to work legally without those documents. I'm going to explain to you how to obtain a U.S. passport without a social security number or birth certificate. I'm going to be using government sources. I will be doing a screen share, and I will post all links to the information in the description box so that you are able to implement this in your life. Let me tell you what this is not. I am not a scammer. I'm not a free man. I don't play those games. I'm not here to get you guys to pay for a lecture. If you already have a social security number and birth certificate, you are currently a slave. And contrary to what everybody is telling you, there is no way out of that slavery. You are trapped. The best you can do is free your children. Free those individuals who currently do not have birth certificates and social security cards. And so today I'm going to show you how to create a free person here in the United States that operates under common law. Again, I'm not a free man. Those people tell you guys a lot of things that will get you arrested, get you in trouble with the IRS. I'm not here to BS you. I'm here to give it to you straight, give you solid law, take you to government websites, and explain to you and provide you with the information and the documents that our government accepts in cases of people that do not have social security numbers or birth certificates. My children, except for my eldest, do not have birth certificates or social security numbers. I was younger when I had my older children, so I didn't have the knowledge I have now. But since then, I have chosen to make sure that the children that I create are free individuals. If they choose to bind themselves and lose some of their rights as human beings so that they can receive the perks through the Office of Human Capital, which we will discuss what the Office of Human Capital is in another video, then that's their choice. So if you guys are ready to get into it, and you guys, I'm not looking at the chat, so let's see. Hi, you guys. I'm just going to say hi to you all. Let's just go ahead and get into this. All right, so I want to do some, I want to just, again, go over some things that will not be happening here. I know that you guys have heard a lot of people say, well, if you just write a letter and say you don't want your social security number, or if you just it's just not possible. Once you are a slave, once your parents have enslaved you with a birth certificate and social security card, you can't back out of that system. So we're not having those conversations here. We are only having legitimate conversation of how we can create free individuals in this society and enable people who are not yet slaves to be free in our society. You must pay your taxes if you have a social security number. You must. You must provide the certain informations if you decide to engage with the government, if you take public benefits, if you take a government loan, if you do any of those things, you will need to waive your personal rights as a human being and subject yourself to their system. So with that said, let's just get right into this. If you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get into this. I'm going to do a screen share. I have not done this before, so let's hope I don't blow it. Let's hope I don't blow it. Okay, so it looks like we are doing a screen share. I'm going to try to see if I can see what you guys are seeing. Hi, you guys. All right, so we are looking at it. I'm going to start at the beginning. I want to right off top show you guys that you do not have to have a social security number. And right from the beginning, I'm going to show you guys what to do when you do not have a social security number and birth certificate so that you can fill out an I-9 and work. These are things you need to do for your children, and be aware. And we're going to talk about some of the tricks that government agencies and hospitals use to try to get you to do something you don't have to do. So let's get into it. This is an official document. You can see that it is from the Social Security Administration official government website. This is application for a Social Security card. I'm sure most of you have seen it. And we're going to scroll through page 1, page 2, page 3. And on page 4, you will notice the information you furnish on this form is voluntary. It is voluntary to apply for a Social Security number. You are not required to give the government any of this information. However, if you fail to provide the requested information, it may prevent us from issuing a Social Security number and card. It's not may. They will not give you a Social Security number and card if you do not give them the information, and you have every right, as they say, to voluntarily choose to not furnish it. You make a choice, okay? You have a choice. Now let's go to I-9. So you don't have a Social Security number. You've chosen not to fill out that form. When you fill out your I-9, it says very clearly that within 2 to 3 business days of the employee's first day of employment, you must physically examine one document from List A. Listen to that. Listen to the words, you guys. This is from the Department of Homeland Security. You can see this is your I-9. I'm on USCIS.gov. We're not playing games here, okay? We're going to stay in the system. So here we go. All right, thank you, Soto. You must provide one document from List A. So follow me. You only need one document for List A, or what most people in this country do, a combination of one document from List B and one document from List C. Straight up, we don't care about List B and List C. Screw List B and C. List B and C are for slaves. Let's go ahead and look at what the one document from List A is that we can have. So here we go. List A, List B, List C. List B and C are for slaves. You can see it has things like Social Security card, US ID card, school ID, driver's license, birth certificates, all of that slave crap. All that slave crap is in List B and C. Okay, things you don't have to have but voluntarily ask for. Now, in List A, the first thing that is listed, and the thing that we're going to deal with, because everything else is dealing with aliens, right? But the first thing on the list deals with people who are born in the United States. That is a U.S. passport or U.S. passport card. Okay, I don't do an, okay, so we're hearing straw man and maritime law. Absolutely not. Hold on, let's stop screen sharing for a second. All right, I'm going to say this again, you guys. Those people that talk about straw men, those people who talk about maritime law are stupid. Now, I know a lot about this, and I'm happy we can go through laws and things like that, and I can teach you how to protect yourself, but we're not going to do these games that these people are on YouTube playing around with that have individuals going to jail and losing all the stuff they have. Okay, I don't do that kind of stuff. I'm going to come to you with real stuff. Real stuff. Okay, there is a such thing as common law, but those people are agents, I promise you, and they are giving you false information, and I'm not going to give you false information here. So we're going to get back to the documents, but again, I am not a free man. I am not pushing maritime law. This whole, the birth canal is the waters and all that crap. The mother is the boat shit. We're not doing that here. We're not. It's bullshit. And I'm saying this strongly because people literally go to jail and lose everything they have because these free men are out here twisting facts. I'm about to give you real facts that will have you really free if you have not been subjected to the system, and at the very least can make sure that when you give birth to your children will be free. But we're not going to play any free man games here. No maritime games here. We're going to talk about real stuff. Okay, I'm going to bring you real facts. So let's get back to those, because it's very important that you don't need to write special letters and start talking like a crazy person to function in our system. You simply need to know your rights in the law. And it's not that complicated. It's not that complicated. We can have fun discussions about Social Security law and all that some other time. Today, we're just going to get to the facts about how you, or more specifically and more likely your child, can be free in this society and be without a Social Security card and birth certificate. And we can talk about the pitfalls of those in a minute. But first, I want to establish that I'm not making this up. Okay, so let's go back to the screen share. So for those of you just joining, we looked at the Social Security application. I showed them the application, that the application clearly says that the information you provide is voluntary, and you do not have to provide that information to Social Security. That is your choice. Now we're looking at an I-9, and we read off the requirements of an I-9 is that you have one item from list A, or two items from a combination of list B and C. B and C are for slaves. A is for aliens, people who are not owned by the United States, owned by somebody else, and free Americans. And the first item on that list is the only thing that concerns us. It is a U.S. passport or U.S. passport card. So you're thinking, Irene, how do I get a passport without an ID, a birth certificate, a Social Security card? How do I do it? Is that even possible? And I'm going to show you right here that yes, it is possible. So let's go ahead and let's go to passports. All right, so here we are at travel.state.gov. Again, I will be giving you all of these so that you can access this information for yourself. And we are looking at the question. It says what the requirements are. It says submit an original or certified copy of your citizenship evidence and a photocopy when you apply for your passport. And then they go through the list of things that you need to have. They're like primary things that you need is a former passport. Secondary things, birth certificate, right? But here we go. If you don't have a birth certificate, you can provide a letter of no record. A letter of no record means that you have never been issued a birth certificate. Again, this is something that is more prevalent for individuals that are being born or young children, okay? If you're already a slave, this won't work for you. This is something that will only work if you are for our youth. So you're going to want to avoid getting a birth certificate, and we're going to talk about how they pressure you to get a birth certificate, but how you can avoid succumbing to that pressure. So if you have no birth certificate, you need to provide a letter of record. That just means that you go to your local, birth certificate issuance office. You give them the information of your child's birth, and then they will give you a letter saying, we don't have a birth certificate for this person. In addition to that, you need to provide early public or private documents. This could be a crib sheet, a baptism certificate, a hospital birth certificate. That's a crib sheet. The little thing they put your baby's footprints on. A U.S. Census record, early school records, a family Bible record, y'all. Listen to what I'm saying to you. Just, how people write in their Bible? Who's in their family? A family Bible record. Doctor's records. If you don't have your crib sheet, just anything from your child's pediatrician, that first well baby checkup. You can use that to get your child a Social Security card. I'm sorry, not a Social Security card, a passport without a Social Security card or birth certificate. Now, here is something that I personally like, a birth affidavit. The form is called DS-10. A birth affidavit is a form that is signed by a notary. Let's have a look at it. It is a form that is signed by a notary, You must sign this form in front of a passport agent, acceptance agent, or notary public. So it is basically saying that somebody that has knowledge regarding the birth of this person. It could be a parent. It could be both parents. Make sure there are always two people present for the birth of your child. Because if you choose to operate, okay, so Cujo power, when we talk about maritime law, again, it is a slippery, messy slope that I advise you don't go down, because it's not even necessary to do all that extra silly stuff. And that's why I'm showing this now. It's not necessary. The stuff they're saying, it's not like I dare one of you guys to try it. You guys can be the example. These little YouTube clips where they show people getting away with that, what they don't show is what happens after they walk out of that courtroom. A week later, a month later. Pay attention to that. So again, we have to make our moves wisely. You don't need to write all kinds of letters and start talking, like I said, in gibberish and crazy talk to exercise freedom as a free individual. What you do need to know are what your rights are and how to operate within the law. And also, we have to be realistic. Okay, let's take a break again, because you guys keep bringing this up. So let's take a break again. You know, we also have to be realistic, people. Follow what I'm saying to you. People have to work jobs, okay? Everybody doesn't have a ton of money to be playing all these games. Some people need to work at McDonald's, but the person that works at McDonald's deserves to be free too. And so the information I am providing is just straightforward information, no special stuff, special letters, verbiage you need to use, weird things you have to do in court. I don't have time for that. And I'm not encouraging people to engage in that. I'm going to show simple ways. This is simple. How to get a passport without a birth certificate or social security card. That's simple. So we don't need to do extra complex, ridiculous stuff. We need to enable people to be free to make their children free in a simplified way, because it's not complicated. We don't need all this extra stuff. Common law covers it. Okay? You don't need to waive any rights. And so I want to keep it simple. We can argue and we can, have a debate and get into maritime law another time. We really can. And I will be happy to do it with y'all, because I'm ready for the freemen. I really am. I'm ready for that group. But for now, let's stick to just things that are very simple. Things that are as simple as not applying for this stuff and then going and getting your child a U.S. passport. It's super easy, doesn't require any special knowledge of the law. It just requires knowing what forms to bring and what items you need to bring with you. So we're going to keep this very remedial, because we don't need to make it complicated. We don't need to make a mountain out of a molehill. This is a little simple thing that anybody can do. If you're poor, you can do it. If your resources are limited, you can do it. If you don't have a great understanding for legalese, you can still do this. And that's what I want to present here today. Just real things that normal people can use that can preserve the freedom and the personal rights of the children that they bring into this world. And we can have discussions over people who are already slaves on another day. So let's go ahead and I'm going to share my screen with you again, and we're going to go into getting a passport without a social security number or birth certificate. All right, so I'm on the wrong screen. So let me get back to the right screen. All right, so your child does not have a birth certificate. You need to go get, or a social security card. You need to get, or if you're lucky, you don't have a social security card or birth certificate, and you need to get a passport. So you're going to need this form. I will provide a link to the form. It's from our government's website. This is their form. This is what they accept. And essentially, it's just two people who were present for the birth. It's just a birth affidavit. I so-and-so said I was present when this person was born. Okay? So, and yeah, I am serious, because I think what we don't realize is we really are slaves. And people really do get in trouble with that freeman stuff. They take laws and they use them out of context. They misrepresent stuff. They take people's money at these lectures. And I just want to make it clear that I'm not a part of that group. I provide things that you don't have to worry about backfiring because, you know, you've tried something that was misrepresented. Now, I think there's some validity to what they say, but the thing about lying is when you lie, there's always a little bit of truth or a whole lot of truth, but it's that little smidgy of lie that has people going to jail, that has their bank accounts frozen. And so I don't like to play games with people's livelihood. That's why I sound serious. So with that said, like I said, this is just a straight up lesson in how to function and work and live in our country without a birth certificate or social security card. Just straight up. No games, no legalese, no elaborate explanations and stories. Just straight information with official documents that you can do this in a matter of a week. Okay, so that's what we're doing here today. So again, we're obtaining a passport without a social security number or birth certificate. So you're going to go get the letter of no record from the local birth office, and we're going to talk about how you can prevent the hospital from pushing you into applying for a birth certificate, because you apply for that. Okay, that's a voluntary thing. I know it doesn't seem very voluntary when you're in the hospital, but trust me, my children don't have them. It's voluntary. So you get that letter, and then you also deal with the birth affidavit. So you're going to need this. I'm going to put a link in the description box to this. It's going to require 2 people present for the birth. So like I said, for all children's birth, have 2 people present. Don't count on the doctor to be one of those people, or your midwife to be one of those people. 2 family members present every time a child is born in your family. 2 of you are there because the 2 of you can verify that that child was born. And in my Patreon, once I get it set up, we will have a discussion that I'm not willing to have here about what to do if you've already kind of traveled down the rabbit hole with your children regarding this. But we're not going to do that here on YouTube. All right. You also need early private documents. So bring as many of these as you can, okay? Bring the Form DS-10. Keep a Bible and write your child's birth in the Bible, because they accept that. Keep your baby's first well baby checkup. Keep that information. Keep all of those things. Keep the baby's crib sheet. These are what you'll use to prove your child was born in this country without enslaving them with the birth certificate, okay? And these are things that the U.S. Passport Office accepts. We're looking at the U.S. Passport Office's site right here. So this is what they accept. Now let's go ahead for social security numbers, because if you've ever got a passport, and we're again at travel.state.gov, what if I don't have a social security number? Right here. What if I don't have a social security number? If you would like to apply for a U.S. passport and you don't have a social security number, you will need to submit a statement, signed and dated. This is all you have to do, people. Just write a letter that you sign and that you date, which includes the phrase, I declare under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States of America that the following is true and correct. I have never been issued a social security number by the Social Security Administration. That's all you have to do. Can you believe that? That's all you have to do. Come with the Bible, your baby's little crib sheet, their first well baby checkup, and an affidavit from you and your husband, or you and your wife, or you and your mom, or grandma, or whoever was in the room with you. And your child can circumvent the need for a birth certificate and social security card that quick. And let's just go back before. How will they work? They will work because the Department of Homeland Security allows for a U.S. passport to take the place, because it's list A or documents from list B and list C. We're going to go for column A, U.S. passport. We have a free person. We've provided no birth certificate or social security number for them because they do not have them, but we have obtained a U.S. passport, and now this individual can work legally in the United States tax-free. You hear what I'm saying to you? Because when you engage in the Social Security program, and let me come back off and then I'll do my screen share again, but let me talk to you guys really quick and then I'll address some of your questions because I'm sure there are some. When you accept a Social Security number and participate in the government's retirement program, you waive the right to not pay taxes. This is why people that tell you can get out of taxes are playing games. See, here's the thing. Once you get into bed with the Department of Human Capital, that's your lover for life. That's why I say the free men are full of crap. The Department of Human Capital is your lover for life. And we can go into, in another video, some of the things that they say, like writing a letter to rescind your Social Security number and things like that. And what the Social Security number says they do with that document. Oh, they'll take it. But you won't get rid of your Social Security number. That's not happening. So we can deal with that in another video. But this is just real simple and remedial. So I want to talk about what it looks like when you're having a child, when you make the choice to not get a Social Security number or birth certificate. It goes a little something like this, because I'm sure 99.9% of you are not going to have live births at home. Okay. But let me say for the record, if y'all can have your babies at home, there are kits that they sell you that have everything you need, sterile things so that you can have your baby at home. And I personally know women who have many children and who deliver children, and they use these kits. Now, I know most people aren't going to do that. So let's talk about the hospital scenario. You're in the hospital. They ask you to come down to a room. It's normally on one of the bottom levels of the hospital, or somebody comes to your room. They offer you documents. No, I don't want to sign the documents right now. Would you like to apply for a Social Security card for your child today? No, thank you. They start asking you questions. Sometimes they'll even call your room. Can I have your name? Can I have your ethnicity? No, you cannot. Okay? That is how you answer. No, you cannot. Don't give them any information. Because what they do is they write it down so that they can send it to the birth certificate office. Okay? So you're not obligated to tell anybody anything. And women, have somebody there with you. You're in a vulnerable position after you've given birth. So you need to have somebody there with you who can do the talking for you. That could be mom, that could be boyfriend, that could be husband. Have somebody with you. When you say those initial no's, all you have to do is hold out for your little 48 hours in the hospital. 72 if you've had a C-section. If you can just hold out for that time for the rest of your child's life, unless they choose to subject themselves to the system, your child will be a free individual. And how you can empower them to still be able to work, because your child may not be a genius, right? Let's just be real. Your child may want to get a little job at the local Sonic in high school or at the local restaurant. You know, they may not be an entrepreneur. Okay, everybody can incorporate their name. We'll talk about that a little later. But you can still empower them to be able to work in the United States without that Social Security number and birth certificate. We just went over what the passport office requires. And so you simply need to meet those requirements. Let's go through what the passport office requires again. A letter saying under penalty of perjury, or if it's your child, my child so-and-so has never received a Social Security number from the Social Security Administration. A letter from your local vital statistics office of no record, meaning you have not reported your child to the government. You haven't authorized the government to have your child. You have not taken liberty to enslave your child with a birth certificate. That means you just keep your damn mouth shut for 48 hours when you're in the hospital. Feel comfortable with the word no. while you're in the hospital. They can't do anything. And then you want to keep records. You're keeping your baby's crib sheet. You're keeping the well baby checkup from their first well baby checkup, or second or third. If you don't have it, it just has to be early. Early is 1 month, 2 months, 1 week, 3 months, 4 months, young. Keep a Bible. Let me tell you something. The Bible is powerful. We're going to go into, I'm going to use Texas as an example, what an employer has to look at when you walk in there as an individual and refuse to give your social security number. Okay? Keep those things, take those documents to the passport office, and your child, or you, if you're not a slave yet, has a passport, and that passport takes the place of the birth certificate and social security card. That individual will never need it again. Every time they go to renew their passport, they simply take the old one in as proof of who they are. That's real. That's simple. Takes 48 hours of diligence on your part and the ability to say no, and proactiveness to take your little butt down to the passport office with the paperwork. That's all it takes. Oh, and I left out the affidavit, right? Just take your boyfriend with you, your mom with you, your husband with you, whoever was there with you when you gave birth. You guys go down to the passport office together with the affidavit. I'll put a link in the description box for that affidavit, and you sign it in front of them. That's all you need. Simple stuff. Like I said, this is not complicated. This life isn't that hard. All right. So let's look at, I'm going to do another screen share with you guys. Should I stop you guys and talk, like answer comments, or no? Now, what I will say, and I want you guys to hear me. You will not be able to write your children off on your income tax unless you enslave them. Hear me. If you are a person that gets income tax credit, if you're a person that's looking to have a little less taken out of your paycheck, you will not be able to do that without a compromise. The government will give you that little bit of money off of your taxes. They'll give you that income tax credit, but only if you sell them your child. So know that when you make a decision to have a free baby, you're making a decision to not capitalize on them. That means you can never get social services welfare for them. That means you can never write them off on an income tax return. That person is free and they don't get benefits through the Department of Human Capital. And you need to understand that. You'll have to suck it up for their sake. It's just real. So you need to really understand that if you work a government job, your child will not be able to be on your insurance. Because when you work for the government, you are required to have a social security number. You are required when you are a government employee. And any person that receives any benefits from the government, Office of Human Capital runs all government programs, has to have a social security number to engage with the government. This goes back to original social security law, the very first Supreme Court ruling into the second Supreme Court ruling regarding social security law. That could be a whole nother live, like really delving into the law, because y'all, I read. I have time to play any games. So let's go ahead and look at what it looks like. What are the two scenarios that you can end up in, or your child can end up in, when they attempt to go to a job, they take their I-9, they provide a passport. Now, these are cases, I think, where people don't provide passports, but I want to just go over this, and I'm using Texas as an example because their verbiage is really, really interesting. So let's look at the verbiage that they use. Again, using government sites, what the government is saying to their own people. So let me just see. I want to get to the right. All right, so here we are, Texas Workforce Commission. This is twc.texas.gov, okay? This is an interesting little thing that they put out here. Let's read it together. Let me go ahead and let me do a screen share so that you can see it too. All right. So here we are, Texas Workforce Commission. This is a government website. Again, we're using their sources because we're playing with their laws. Okay, we're playing with their laws. Now, until y'all ready to take up arms and start the revolution, you have to play the game. There are loopholes in the game. You need to know those trap doors. So we're discussing trap doors here. Now, if you guys want to discuss revolution, that's a different conversation. But right now we're discussing trap doors. So this is the Texas Workforce Commission. We're just using them as an example. Employees without a social security number. What do you know? Because this happens. This happens. Although almost all employees can go years without seeing this situation, although almost all employers can go years without seeing the situation, and see, this is the problem. So few people exercise their right to not have a social security number. It is unfamiliar to employers when they are brought up, when an individual comes to them who doesn't have one. Our compliance makes it hard for people who exercise their right to not participate in this system. And Texas is acknowledging this, although almost all employers can go years without seeing this situation, and most employers never encounter it at all. Every once in a while, an employer might run across an applicant or new hire who claims not to have a social security number. Mind you, they're saying claims because they know all your parents are too dumb to know to not get you one. So the likelihood that you legit don't have one is very low. Or else refuses to disclose it. Now, the situation could be as simple as that of a person who has newly arrived in this country, so the immigrant thing, right? But we're not talking about immigrants. We're talking about Americans here, and does not yet have a social security number. So blah, 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 because we don't care about the immigrants, right? However, the situation, and I'm right here because I just skipped over some stuff because we're not immigrants. However, the situation is more complex if the applicant / new hire claims not to have a social security number or refuses to disclose it because of a religious or other form of conscious objection. Now listen to conscientious objection. Be careful when you play the "I'm not a Christian" card. And we're going to learn why you need to be careful for that. It's better to stand on freedom of religion. It's better to stand on freedom of religion. And I'm going to tell you why. It is certainly legal. This is a government website to hire someone who is authorized to work in this country, but who does not have a social security number or who chooses not to disclose it. That's for those people that want to stay invisible. In such a case, as noted in the article, verification of social security numbers, the employer has the right to require the employee to complete an affidavit such as a Form P1, reasonable cause affidavit by payor for not obtaining a payee's identification number. And I'm going to show you Form P1 because it doesn't hurt you. And I'll put a link in the description box to have this crap ready for your employer. Because they're not ready for this, a lot of them. And mind you, they're still playing with the IRS. So they have to cover their backs too. So be ready to help them cover their backs. Now, whether that's going to be sufficient, they go on to say, is subjective. And here is where the catch is for the atheists in the room. Employers do not face any particular legal issues for discharging an employee who refuses to complete such a form, other than perhaps as an unemployment claim, the outcome of which would depend on whether the employer could prove that that refusal to complete the employee portion of the form amounted to work-related misconduct, and that employee either knew or should have known that they could be fired for such a reason. Now, mind you, this person hasn't provided a passport. The complicated issue is whether the employer can legally refuse to hire a conscientious social security number objector or discharge a new hire who is in that category based solely upon that fact. The issue, in turn, depends on a number of factors, including the reason for the objection and the number of employees in the company. The religious discrimination laws do not apply to employers with 15 employees. Keep this in mind. If the place you go to work has less than 15 employees, the religious clause won't work. These are things you need to know and need to tell your children if you expect them to be free people. Being free is not easy. They need to work for places where there are more than 15 employees so that they can claim religious objection to a social security number. Why? Why is that? Let's find out. Conscientious objectors fall into two main categories, those with religious objections and those without. The simpler of the two situations is that of someone who objects to having a social security number on general principles, not involving religious conviction. There is no law or legal doctrine that affords any kind of job protection for such an individual. In contrast, the situation of a person who objects to having a social security number for religious reasons involves a complex legal issue. Okay, and then I will go ahead and post an article if you want to see the employer side of things and understand how you can circumvent this slimy ass system. Okay, but I mostly wanted to read that to show you that notice everything is in religion, right? You don't have a birth certificate, but you can go to the passport office with your Bible where you just wrote down when your baby was born, and that can take the place of a birth certificate. You go to get a job, and if you're just like, I'm an atheist, I just don't believe in social security numbers, they can fire you. But if you say, I'm a Christian or my religion prohibits me from having a social security number, it becomes a very sticky thing for them. They can't really shake you. So this is something that's important to know. It's something that is important to know. I wanted to go into how they try to trick you when you're looking this information up on government documents, on government websites. But I just wanted to stop and point out, and remember, the IRS is not a government agency, so please don't go to the IRS. The IRS only deals with people with social security numbers. So everything they talk about is social security number, this and that. If you have a social security number, you're going to be a slave to the IRS. It just is what it is. You can't get out of it. Don't think you can. It's very foolish. But for those people without social security numbers, the IRS is not your problem. They have no control over you. You and them have no dealings. They deal with slaves. They don't deal with free people. So let me go ahead and answer some questions and ask, so do many Americans not have Social Security SSI? I'm guessing by SSI you mean Social Security numbers. It used to be very common, Anne. It's a lot less common now, but it used to be very common. Privacy lies. Okay, so let's talk about this because Task Appman said privacy laws state you should not disclose your Social Security number to everyone. Let me tell you something. This is only applicable in certain situations. There is a law, and I might even have it pulled up. Let me see. There is a law, Overview of the Privacy Act. Okay, and let's look at the law that he's talking about. Okay, this is USC 552A, disclosure of Social Security number. Okay, it provides that it shall be unlawful for any federal, state, or local government agency to deny an individual any right, benefit, or privilege provided by law because of such an individual's refusal to disclose his Social Security number. Section 7A1. So on the surface, it seems like you're right, but nah, you're not right. Let me tell you, you can't get off that easy. I'll put a link to this official government information for those of you who have heard that lie that you don't have to provide your Social Security number. That might work with the business down the street. It's not going to work with the government agency because it goes on to say, note, although this provision applies beyond federal agencies, it does not apply to, listen to all the people it does not apply to. It does not apply to any disclosure which is required by federal statute or any disclosure of a Social Security number to any federal, state, or local agency maintaining a system of records in existence and operating before January 1975. So damn near all of them. Okay. If such a disclosure was required under statute or regulation or adopted prior to such a date to verify the identity of an individual, see Section 7A2A through B. Note also that the Tax Reform Act of 1976, 42 U.S.C. 405 C2 CI of 2006, 4 of 2006, expressly exempts state agencies from this restriction to the extent that a Social Security numbers are used in the administration of any tax, general public assistance, driver's license. There's a whole damn fucking list. And I'm going to tell you that list is made up of Department of Human Capital programs. Everything on that list. I will attach the link in the description box. I'm telling you, don't play with the Department of Human Capital. This whole you don't have to disclose your Social Security number thing, that's cute. It would be really, it would make a lot of sense if the Department of Human Capital didn't own everything you do. They own everything. They own all the schools, all the public parks, every government building you walk in, state, local, federal. So yes, you are right. That law exists. It means nothing. It means nothing. It's a cute law that means nothing. So I'm glad you brought that up. So let's go. Is this what you did for your children, Irene? Yes, ma'am, Anne. This is what I've done for my children. Yes, I did. Frantonio answered that. That's true. It's perfectly legal, Anne. That's why I took you guys to government websites. I will provide all of the forms that the government requires. These are their forms for you to do this. Okay, so like I said, I'm not one of those people that's going to talk about elaborate special letters you got to write with special wording and things have to be capitalized and lowercase depending on the situation. Like, that's BS. I'm not going to do all that stuff with y'all. I'm not going to play with you guys. But what I will do is give you real solid information. How do I register the kids for school? Okay, so first of all, I homeschool because I don't like giving my kids over to the government. For regular school, what I will say is my eldest son did not use his Social Security number. And for him, and this is a whole nother conversation, and we can talk about this, how you can help fast track your children's education. So for my eldest son, what we did for half of his high school, but I'm going to do this for all of the high school for my younger children, is we put him in community college in a concurrent enrollment program. And the government pays for this, okay? They pay for this. You will have to cover the books, but they will cover the tuition. It's the same seat time money that's used in public school. We were able to do that. And I would advise you do that. When your children reach high school age, don't put them in a high school. Do concurrent enrollment in a community college. For every one semester of community college, they get 1 full year of high school credit, which means they can graduate high school in 2 years and simultaneously build college credit. So they can build college credit up to 2 years of college credit. So in half the time, your child will be ready to complete their second 2 years of actual college. They will have their high school diploma and 2 years of college and done that work simultaneously. So that's what I would advise. For younger children, it's not uncommon for them to have a Social Security number. I'm from California. That's something I've never been asked for. I've never provided a birth certificate. So I don't know in your personal state what that is, like what that looks like in every state, but we can do a state-by-state thing. I'm happy to do that with you guys. Not today because I'm not prepared, but I'm happy to do that with you guys. This is less of a problem for children. In the community college, they just zero it out. That's what they do. They just zero it out if you don't have one. Because at the college level, they get a lot of foreigners without Social Security numbers. So it's not that common. And in the state of California, more people exercise this right. So it's not that uncommon. But again, what you have to do is you have to be ready to deal with the system. And you have to be firm and educate people and come prepared. Because when people don't know, and if you don't know too, it becomes a messy situation. But if you already have your documents in hand and what they need, then it makes the situation a lot less stressful. You seem knowledgeable about it and you're able to push through a lot easier. So that's why I'm providing you with all the forms and things like that to simplify things. And let's go ahead and I just want to look at some other things that you guys are asking. But Anne, you can use the passport to just speak directly to the passport. But yes, my children are homeschooled. Frantonio, yes, they can still attend school, but honestly, I would not advise you send your children to public school if it's not necessary. But I know that it's not an option for a lot of people. So let's look. Hi, Santel. Yes, the community college thing, every state, this is through the Office of Human Capital, Department of Education, every child is considered a human capital product. They're worth money to the government. That child has money that follows them. The high school, your child's high school won't like it because they won't get paid when your child's not there. They will try to discourage you from doing it, but they can't stop you. That's what they can't do. And it's called concurrent enrollment. It's called that in all 50 states. Every child has the right to participate. It's normally geared toward low achieving students so that they can graduate on time. My child was a high achieving student, and this is why he was able to pick up 3 of the 5 languages that he speaks, because I put him in community college, and they offer obviously courses that regular high school don't offer. So I would advise all of you to do that with your kids. Fast track your kids. Why would they spend 4 years in high school and then 4 years in college? Why would you pay for 4 years of college? If you can put them in community college in high school, they can finish high school in 2 years and get 2 years of college credit on the government's dime. And then you just cover the last 2 years of actual college. And you know they'll get in because this is going to be what? They go into high school at 15? 15? Freshman, sophomore, yeah. Y'all tell me, 15, 14? They go into high school at 14 or 15? So this is your 16, 17-year-old kid who's going to come, finished, technically graduating early from high school 2 years, and with 2 years of college credit. They can get in any school they want. You guys know my eldest child is in school in Japan right now. So I would strongly advise that you guys do that. That's just real talk from a longtime mom. You guys know I'm very old. So I have a lot of mom experience. I'm like a mom expert. Okay. I'm an expert about this child raising life. Okay, let's see. Oh, you figured out how to do it. Good for you, Santel. Yes, Anne, knowing all those languages in the future. What languages does he speak? He speaks English, obviously. He speaks Spanish. He speaks French. He speaks Japanese. Japanese was actually the first language that he started to learn. German, oh, and he's picking up Russian. So I guess that's actually 6 languages. We were talking about dual enrollment, Water Lily. That's correct. Yes, he knows Japanese. It was his first foreign language. Let me see if I've missed anybody else's comments. I'm going to scroll back and just make sure, or you guys could just ask now. So do you guys have any comments? Because I'm going to hop off of here. If you don't have comments, and post all the links in the description box, or if you don't have any questions, and post links in the description box. This is just a really straightforward thing. It's not super long. So I just wanted to show you how, like I said, you can't be free. Okay, I'm sorry. I know a lot of people try to tell you can be free. There was that whole thing that government CIA agent, what's his name? I know y'all are going to get mad at me. With the fat one who did the IRS thing. He just did something on Trump. He did something on socialized medical. You know, he's always trying to sell people on some BS, but everybody loves him. What's his name? Do you guys know his name? The filmmaker? Okay, clearly you guys don't know his name, or there's a delay in the chat. Anyway, whatever his name is, the stupid guy, contrary to what is said, you cannot get out of slavery. You can't. But what you can do is you can free your children. Michael Moore, thank you. Michael Moore, yeah. He's full of crap, quite frankly. Michael Moore is an idiot. He's on some other stuff. That whole video he did on there's no law. No, there's no law. But once you've waived your rights by getting a Social Security card, you got to pay taxes. You know what I'm saying? Like this there's no law thing only works for free people. You can't sign up for slavery and then be like, there's no law. No. Don't sign up for the slavery. Irene, how did you decide what curriculum to use for homeschooling? Okay. So for homeschooling, and I could do a whole separate thing on this. Well, not anytime soon because all my homeschool stuff is packed right now. But this is what I like to do. And I used to have videos up of this for demonstration purposes, and I'll probably put those up on my Patreon. I really had to take them down just because of trolls. But I'm not totally curriculum based. Okay. So I like to check out the universal standards for school. The universal standards, not the state standards, because the state standards are almost always lower. And I really like Houghton Mifflin. I like their literary readers, and I also like their actual reading progression books. They're very moral based, and there's nothing weird in there. I like to use History for Christian Schools for my history lessons. It goes from a global inward perspective, which I think is a healthier way to approach history. I know in school they teach a centralized outward perspective, like we focus on America and then move out, and then we really only move out to so many countries. But obviously from Christian history for Christian schools, it's the opposite of that. For mathematics, I am pretty aggressive in mathematics. So where I am very aggressive is in mathematics and reading. And I normally just look at the textbooks, and we never open up a textbook for that. For mathematics, I like to do whiteboard drills. I like to do spelling drills on a whiteboard, like a magnetic whiteboard. So yeah, I actually have some tutorials on that. I'm not heavily curriculum based. Some parents are. Because I was a teacher's aide at a Montessori school for a while, and I'm not saying I'm not advocating Montessori, but I think something that they have on is some children learn better when there's a little interaction going. So spelling is a great one for whiteboard drills. Math is another great one for whiteboard drills. The longhand math, note calculator free, that's pretty amazing for those things. And for my curriculum, I jump all over. It's whatever I like. So I can do a whole like video where I just go through the curriculum that I'm using for all age groups. And y'all know I have all age groups. My curriculum goes up to college level because I'm an old lady and I have old kids. So let's see. Can you use your business number to replace your social security number? No, not for personal employment and be unloaded. However, you can use your business number if you're working as a sole proprietorship. If you're working at McDonald's or in an office somewhere, you cannot use, you can incorporate your name, but you can incorporate your name, and I advise you guys do this. I did a lot of consulting for millionaires for a great deal of time for several years. And something that was very common among them is they would incorporate their name. So the business would be, you know, Irene Yvette, right? And then my last name, which y'all can't know. So that would be my business name. So I do advise that. I advise if you have a workable skill and you're not looking to be employed at a low level, then you can incorporate your name and use that as a tax identification number, but it cannot supplement a social security number. Cannot do that. Sir Black, the tax burden can be over from birth if your parents make the right choice. All they have to do is hold out for 48 hours and get the heck out of that hospital, or suck it up and do a home birth. Maybe one day I'll do a video on home birthing and how you can do that safely. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Virtuous One. Yeah, my Lizzie baby is amazing. And honestly, I used to have more videos up with the children, cooking videos and things like that, because, you know, I love other women and I'm so passionate about mothers and children and women. I think like I'm very passionate about you guys, but unfortunately, I had to take down half of my content once I started getting trolls. I hope to revisit some of that on my Patreon, like for the higher Patreon levels. But here on YouTube, I can't do it, unfortunately. I used to do it, but I can't. I left that one biblical discipline video up because I felt some people really needed it. And Liz is very wise, and you can just see that coming through for her. She just is a thinker. She's very quick. And I thought it's hard to make that video without a child being there to just show their perspective about discipline. That's something we always talk about, the adult's perspective, right? But how children view discipline and what a healthy child's view of discipline looks like. And so I left that one video up. It's the only one up with any of my kids in it. Sir Black, I'm very old. I am an old lady. And you're so right. We don't own the homes we think we buy. The government owns everything, y'all. We don't own crap. Oh, yes. Oh, the fire alarms. Y'all, let's talk about my fire alarms. These freaking damn alarms. Let me tell you something. Every time I find one that's beeping, another one starts beeping. And currently, there are 2 beeping. And I have a big house. It is like, where's Waldo? Trying to find these alarms. And then they're on my tall ceilings. And I have to climb up there. One alarm was literally, I was like hanging over the balcony in my home, about to fall 30 feet down, because why would they put a fire alarm there? Who can reach that? I was like on a ladder hanging over the balcony trying to maneuver this fire alarm. Like I could have been no more. So right now there's one in my kids' playroom that's beeping, and I don't know where the other one is. I'm still looking for it. But since I'm selling out, since I'm getting out of this place, after I get my boxes out and stuff like that, I will go up and I will deal with them. But I have been fighting this battle since I arrived in Texas. I don't know. I feel like I'm in an Edgar Allan Poe situation, where it's like instead of a bird, it's like fire alarms. Like they just are going off left and right. It's flipping driving me nuts. You guys just don't know. And then every once in a while, somebody comments on it and I'm like, oh, these people think I don't change my fire alarm. So little do they know my fire alarms it's like a conspiracy to drive me crazy. How many children do I have, Anne? Many, many children. And but why would all the batteries go dead at one time? That's what I'm saying. Like, that's a joke. It's like you take one out and then 24, 48 hours later, another one goes out. I didn't even know I had this many fire alarms. I have a lot of fire alarms in this house, and they're all in high, bad places. Actually, Frantonio, I used to do radio because my first husband owned a radio station. So I hosted one of the shows. Don't trust any type of vaccine. Okay. The Russians got into my fire alarm, something, or they're possessed. Crazy fire alarms. These things are, I'm telling you. So one is in the playroom, but I don't know where the other one is. And you know how they beep? One goes beep. That's the playroom one. I can hear it really well. And then the other one beeps off in the distance like an echo. So annoying. Illegals might try to use. I'm not giving any information that the government's not giving out. It's just that nobody looks. I'm sure when I pointed out on the Social Security form, when it said this information is voluntary, like giving this information is voluntary, all of you have filled out a Social Security form. Have you ever noticed that sentence was on there? Any of you? Have any of you ever noticed that sentence was on there? Because we don't read anything, y'all. They give us a form that says you don't have to fill it out, and we just totally missed that whole sentence. We're just filling a form out. So I'm not worried about ICE. I'm in Texas now beyond Babbitt. I've been here for a year, and I'm going back west. Well, these alarms, these smoke detectors were like, I didn't put new batteries in them when I came into this house. So there, what other conspiracy is going on? The lights in my bathroom. They're these special type of lights. $15 for 3 light bulbs, and they're this big. And those things blow out all the time. I'm like, this is expensive. I just spent $30 on lights. After I'd already placed them 2 times since I've been in this house. So this house is cursed. I don't know. It's like some electrical weirdness going on here. You think, yes, somebody's setting me up. They're like, she needs some excitement in her life. Let's send a fireman stripper to her house. Oh, I hope not. I don't care for male strippers. I don't know. I don't. But they do that little thing with their penis where they flip it in a circle. Don't ask me how I know that. And in one way, it's fascinating. In another way, it's like, doesn't that hurt? That's not painful? What are my thoughts on artificial insemination to raise a baby on your own? I think that children need two parents. That's what I think about that. Yeah, the government, especially in California, you don't even need to be an American citizen to hold some state positions at this point. They're just crazy. They're taking over. We all need to learn Spanish. That's what we really need to do. This is so like, let me turn it down or something. I don't know. I probably turned it up because I don't know how to work it. Let's see. I have in my home, I have my two daughters here right now. You're sorry about how old I am. I'm very old. Brother Sanchez is flipping awesome. He really, I'm so mad. He was like, somebody asked him why the shape of something was the way it was. He was like, why is my, what did he say? Why is my fingernail this shape and my dangling oval shaped? You got to ask the Almighty about these things. I was like, he kills me, but that was informative. I actually didn't know anything about flat earth, and I felt really privileged that he came and talked to us about it. Go check out his channel. I think as I'm packing, I'm going to listen to some of, he has several channels, but his flat earth channel, because I feel that's something my kids can listen to without any trouble. It will expose them to another perspective, and it's just fascinating to me. Like, his answers were fascinating. I did have to go look up that whole car in space thing because I had never heard of that before, so I really didn't get it. But then I saw what he was saying about the green screen, and I got the context for why a car was in space. So I felt that was really fascinating. Oh, and California is great, except for some things. I was in the city. This is really recently. This is probably like last year, or maybe last year, early last year. And so in San Francisco, you can be basically naked. You need to wear a thong, so your actual like vagina hole has to be covered. If you're a man, you can wear a nylon sock. It can even be clear. You just have to have the sock on. And then you have to wear, I don't even think you have to wear pasties. I think you could just be like breasts out. So anyway, so all you have to do is cover your vaginal hole, basically, and wear a nylon sock. And people were completely naked protesting about the fact that they had to cover their vagina holes and wear a nylon sock. And that is San Francisco for you. This is where I'm from. Oh, but they wanted to go in restaurants like that and just sit free willy-nilly. They just felt oppressed by the nylon sock. I just thought, this is when you live in the Western world. Like, who has time for that mess? That's what you're protesting over. That's how you know California is a very liberal state, because people are protesting over just utter foolery. Let's see. Santo, you said it doesn't hurt at all. That's nasty. Why are you sharing that information? Does the hospital still help you if you don't have a social security number? Absolutely. You don't need a social security number to have your baby at a hospital. You absolutely do not. You don't. They will still help you. Yes. How did Star Black get timed out? He must have done something wrong. Chino, don't be fool. You know how the Bay is. You know how San Francisco is. That's how they're going to eat, with their willy hanging out. They don't want anybody oppressing them. Yes, they want their degeneracy in everybody's face. It's ridiculous. I get wrecked. Yes, you can go topless in California. Okay, y'all. So I think that we pretty much wrapped all that up. I hope that you guys found the information in this live useful. And, oh, you were talking about SF? Okay. I was like, because y'all know that's not happening. So with that said, I hope that you found the information in this live useful. Again, we can have a whole nother discussion on the fallacy of the whole free men movement and how it can be dangerous to people and what they commonly tell people and how I can, do you hear my daughters? And how I can replace, and how you can replace that with just common sense. Today, this is common sense. Today, you don't need anything special. I have shown you exactly how you can have a free child and they can function in society. Again, all forms and links are below. I encourage you. It's as easy as just being able to say no when you're in the hospital. No, I don't want to do the paperwork. When the person calls you on the phone or comes with their little clipboard to your room, I'm sorry, I don't want to do those forms right now. I'm sorry, I don't want to do those forms right now. Well, we have to report. That's what they'll say. We have to report. Well, you can report, but I'm not signing anything and I'm not going to fill out any forms. You can have a home birth, have it. I always say I'm a doula, but I won't be in Texas. So if you're in Texas, I can't help you. But maybe in the next state I'm in, I'll let you guys know for those of you who are local. But with that said, you guys aim for freedom, if not for yourself, for your children. And I hope that you find all of that information. Soto, we're out of here. You're late. You are late. I have people coming on Friday, sadly. But my truck comes on Saturday, so maybe it'll go better after my blackness is out of the house, because they were really tripping with that. All right, so, well, the area that I'm in, it doesn't flood. You know, they're not trying to have anything over where I live flood. These people like their houses. It was really a lot of the poor neighborhoods that got flooded, and they were flooded pretty bad. You could still see the line of demarcation on the buildings. I actually left California right before the fires and right after everything from the flood cleared up here. I was like, my timing was like perfect. It was like right spot on. God was with me. But with that said, you guys, thank you for coming by. I hope you found the information useful. I will get all of the links in the description box. I encourage you to check them out, utilize them. Like I said, this is very, very simple. Simple stuff. When you have your child, do not apply for a social security number. When they ask you, tell them no, thank you. When they call you up to get you and the father's information, tell them you don't want to do that right now. They'll probably come to your room with their clipboard, tell them you do not want to do that right now. Have your support system there to let them know that you won't be filling out those forms right now. Use that word right now, okay? And then feel free to leave the hospital with your baby. After that follows, make sure you take your child's crib sheet. Make sure that you write in your Bible about the birth of your child. I will provide the form for you, the affidavit that you and the person present for your child's birth, because remember, there always need to be two people other than the doctor, because we can't count on the doctor to sign anything, present for every child's birth. Take those forms to the passport office, fill out an affidavit for them that says, I swear under penalty of perjury, I've never been issued a social security number, or my child has never been issued a social security number. Give that to the passport office. That is how you legally get a passport in this country without a birth certificate or social security number. When that individual needs to work, remember that the Department of Homeland Security requires a U.S. passport, one item, or all the stuff you guys normally provide. It's an or situation. The U.S. passport trumps the other thing. All right, every time it trumps it. I will put the form that you'll want to fill out for your employer so that they can cover their back with the IRS. You want to teach your children to have that on hand. Don't make the employer figure it out. They will likely be one of the only people that employer ever meets that does not have a social security number. This is the first step to your child's freedom. There's no trickery there. There's nothing fancy there. There are no laws that you need to understand. It just takes you being firm in your resolve inside of the hospital to not be coerced into filling out those forms, knowing that you have the legal right to say no. We went over the Social Security forms. We know that this is something that Americans do because our U.S. Passport Department, it has It has a loophole for those individuals. Okay, so it's really important that you do those things. I'm going to provide all the government links so that you can look at those lists again. And I just encourage you to be brave, empower yourself. We can have free people in this country, but we need to be educated and calculated about what we do. We cannot do something because everybody's doing it. Understand the decisions that you're making, and we can go into the understanding part of it in another live. If you guys want to talk about vaccinations, we can go into that. I pulled my other Mac out, and it's the one that has the letter that I wrote for my children's doctor and supplemented HIPAA. Like I said, you can modify your child's medical records. You can add things to their medical records according to HIPAA. So I want to go ahead and I'll probably screen share that with you. I'll see how I want to do it. And then I will provide that document, like I said, whenever I get my Patreon set up, y'all, because you know I'm slow. Because I don't want to put that personal stuff on YouTube. But I will put that up there for you parents that don't want to vaccinate. Remember, you never sign that form that they give you. That form essentially says that you know that you're committing child abuse. And so you do not sign that form. What you do is you provide them with your letter, and I will give you the wording that you need. It's what I did. My children went to Children's Hospital. That's a reputable hospital. I never had a problem. But you have to come at these things from an educated perspective. You have to know your rights. You have to be firm in what you do and resolute. If you don't have a spinal column, don't even bother. Okay? It's not going to be a fight, but they're persistent, not because they're bad people, but because nobody ever says no. So they don't know what to do. When somebody's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. You know, they don't know what to do. So I guess since we're talking about childbirth, just a word to the wise, please don't give your babies the vitamin K shot. Like, just get some oral vitamin K and let them know that vitamin K is absorbed by the gut, not the muscle. And so you have opted to give your child oral vitamin K. Take it to the hospital with you so that your baby doesn't have to get that shot. And I'm against those little foot prick tests too, y'all, because why do they need a sample of everybody's DNA? You know that's what they're doing, right? Every baby's foot, they take their blood, DNA sample for every child that's born in a hospital. You know, this stuff gets really weird. We could get, because, you know, I'm from San Francisco. We think too much in the city. So we could sit here and talk all night about all kinds of subjects, I am sure. But yes, no credit, cash. That's absolutely right. I feel like I got to talk to you guys more because you guys keep typing stuff. But you know that I have, y'all know that I have to pack. So I can't keep talking to you people. I will try to announce my live ahead of time. I see there's like between 60 and 70 people. It fluctuates in the room. I'm sorry for you guys that are just coming, but please do listen to the playback. There's a lot of good information there. And with that said, should the father watch the baby come out or should he stay upstream? It's up to the dad. It's up to the dad. It really is. Yeah, Chino, I won't be sleeping. I'll be packing, but I do have to finish that. Like I said, my truck is going to be here in 48 hours. I just wanted to come on here. I was thinking about it. I was like, this is a quick, useful video I can do. This is something that's easy to implement for them. Just to kind of give you a taste of the kind of conversations I want to have with you guys. I always do the political stuff and stuff like that. And I do that to pander to Google's algorithms, y'all, because I just feel like the whole system really needs to be redone. But I play the algorithm game with Google. But then I also like to just do things for you guys that are important to me and that I think are relevant to just people having better lives and functioning in a more healthy way in our system. So this video would be, or this live would be along those lines. And so thank you so much for chilling with me. If you've missed anything, please do the playback and give me maybe 10-15 minutes, and I will put all those links in the description box for those of you who truly want to have that information on hand. If you're pregnant, if you know somebody that's pregnant, if you plan to plan a family in the future, please, please let your children be free. Okay? Create free human beings because there's just too many slaves right now. And with that said, Bye, guys. I'll talk to you later.